Hi. So a short conversation around the use of pessimism to drive pragmatism within drug development and the idea of the pre-mortem. And this is actually it's a very elegant idea, which is based on having the team actually voice the challenges that they already personally understand within the drug development process. So just imagine a thought experiment conducted with your team, which is that you say, 3 years from now, either we have failed in our phase 3, or we're on market in 3 years' time. We've failed to gain the share that we expect to. What I want you all to do as a team now is to give me the reasons that we failed. So cast forward, put yourself in 3 years' time, and begin to think about the reality that you have failed in the task that you've set yourselves as a team. First reaction is always, well, we're not going to fail, because actually most organizations reward optimism. They reward, this is what it's going to look like when we succeed, and here's all of the good things that will happen to us at that point. We might, pretend that we've calculated the probability of technical success and so forth, and they're all above 50%, obviously, so the project moves forward. But what I want you to think about in this pre-mortem space is the idea that you get the team in a safe space to say, look, we have failed, tell us why. And then the team individually will be able to give you reasons that, from their perspective, it might be manufacturing, it might be clinical development, it might be the powering of the study, it might be that the label claim that you want isn't the label claim that would be supported by the study that you're doing. It's a kind of cathartic experience. So the team kind of go through this thing and they dump everything down and they start to write down, first they'll write down very little, and then as they get into the pile of stickies, they'll start to record a lot more things. Then you put them on the wall and you put them in those categories, so clinical, regulatory, recruitment, all of those things that might well be limiting the team. And this relies on this essential source of knowledge that the team that already has failed usually has a bunch of reasons that it did. Interestingly, the team is always carrying that information forwards, but they're never asked. And the most interesting thing about pharma today, given that failure is our norm, is that the team isn't asked what the sources of failure might be in the project. They might get to record and share with each other a little bit of risk when they're doing the calculations of probability. But this kind of cathartic experience of saying, look, here are all the reasons that it might fail from my perspective and from everyone else's perspective, and you put them up and then you share them. Obviously, that isn't just meant to depress everyone. That's meant to give you something that you can do, to give you actually an action plan to address some of the weaknesses in the program. Because it may well be that your commercial colleagues have never understood the clinical risk. They may not have seen that label claim X wasn't going to come from this study in the first place. So the conduct of pre-mortem is A, about identifying all of the sources of risk to the program, but then B, mitigating those sources of risk, because it may be that there's things you can do now that would fundamentally change that risk profile within the program. The other thing, of course, it's honesty. So it's the team being honest with itself about the way that things work in pharma. And the next thing, that's the most obvious thing, is why would you not ask? So this is a bunch of people that are all intelligent, all smart, and we've probably got the most intelligent, most highly educated industry of any. And yet we don't reward people telling the truth to each other about how the risk is embedded within the program. So it's a very simple proposition. When conducted, actually, it's not just cathartic, it's actually pragmatic and functionally useful. So there should be a sense of optimism comes around, which is just that you fixed the sources of risk in the program. That's what it's for. Simple thing, pre-mortem, typically three-year timelines, because people can imagine that on the program as directed at the moment. Needs to be a whole team thing, and you'll definitely understand the culture of your team a lot better afterwards than you had before. So short piece of advice, do it if you need help. Obviously we can help you with that, and go ahead and fix the programs that you're involved with. So short piece and hopefully useful, but don't ignore the fact that it's uncomfortable to ask your team to do it in the first place. No one wants to do it, no one wants to be vulnerable, but that source of honesty is absolutely the source of your opportunity going forwards. Thank you very much.